made this music.
The music?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's really musical, man. I didn't get any of that.
No.
I can keep a beat. You know what I mean? I like put me on a drum set.
No.
I can keep a beat.
No. I've tried. I sat and learned guitar for 1 hour and said,
yeah,
no.
Same, man.
I'm over it.
I don't have the patience for guitar.
I wanted to so bad.
Me too. It looks awesome.
Nope.
No, I'm the same way, man. I don't have. I was just talking to my wife this morning about golf, of all things, and like for me, I hate the way that this sounds, but I'm used to being able to pick things up and be good at them.
Yeah.
And I was never able. I golfed for a while when I was like 20. I was golfing like 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I could never get good, and I got so frustrated. Now I golf once every 5 years.
That's exactly how I feel with everything I try to learn.
Yeah. And so it was the same with music, man. I'm like, all right, I can keep a beat. I've got rhythm. I've got a general understanding of music and timing.
Yeah.
Picked up guitar.
It gave me. I lasted about an hour and a half until.
That's about an hour longer than I did.
Yep. And I was pumped. I ordered the guitar, ordered everything. Hour and a half.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Biggest waste of money.
Well, luckily for us, and you and I just had lunch and we were talking. We both took to real estate a little bit quicker.
Yes.
Than music and golf for me. So, I'm Eric Pettigo. This is Real Estate for Real. I'm being joined by Logan Frazier.
Yep.
Thanks for hanging out with me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I had to press you a little bit.
A little bit.
To get you to do this.
A little bit.
You said you were a little nervous.
Yeah.
And I totally get it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, as a matter of fact, Josh Cruz has been ghosting me since I got this equipment.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, yeah, I'm in. I get all this stuff. And I'm like, let's do it. Won't return my phone calls.
Well, hey, I thought about ghosting for a minute,
I know.
but I didn't.
You did for a day.
A day.
A day.
I didn't mean to, kind of.
Well, you're a busy man. I get it. And this is, for me, this is second nature. I've been broadcasting forever. For a lot of people, this is like foreign territory.
Yeah.
But we are real estate agents.
Yeah.
As a realtor, I mean, you kind of have to be a bit of an extrovert.
Yeah.
And so
I feel like I can choose when I want to be an introvert, when I want to be an extrovert, you know?
Fair enough. Fair enough. And when you're out talking to clients.
Yeah. No, not shy at all.
Yeah.
Not
okay.
shy at all.
Well, then that's all this can be.
We're just chatting.
And so the reason, I mean, obviously everybody has a story to tell. And I love kind of getting into that with people, but for you specifically, and I know I told you we're not going to make like the whole podcast about your age.
Yeah.
But that's what intrigued me about what you've been able to do, because we were just having lunch, and you're how old?
22.
You're 22 years old. You got licensed when you were 18, right out of high school.
Yep. September of 2020. So I'm right at 4 years licensed now.
Right. Right. And what you've been able to do in these 4 years is kind of mind-blowing. You know, I'm a pretty good agent, man. I sell some stuff. My production's always pretty good.
Yeah. We
were talking numbers before we came in here. I mean, you sell more than I do, and that's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's not like that's genuinely, for me, I'm like, that is awesome.
I mean, you have kids. You're married.
It's my fault.
I have a dog.
My fault. Yeah.
I have a dog. He needs an hour of attention a day, and he's good. That's all.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. Yeah. Right, because you get out of this business what you put into it.
Right.
And you obviously have sunk a lot into this.
Yep.
To get back what you're getting back.
Right.
And that's really cool, man. And that's something. And I asked you before we started recording. I said, "Is it lost on you that you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing?"
Yeah.
And you use that as motivation.
Yeah. I love when people doubt me.
Yeah.
Like I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, that's the best way to be is using that stuff and using that to drive yourself. And so I guess I want to know a little bit about Was your phone going off?
Yeah.
Do you have it turned down?
Had to hide it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Sometimes I forget. The one I did with Bugos a couple weeks ago.
I'm sure he got 100 calls during that.
Oh, it was me, the one who's been broadcasting for 20 years.
Yeah.
My phone goes off in the middle of it. But like I was curious about, and you told me a little bit about this over lunch. I was curious about when you first got going. What some of the obstacles are, because we all have them as real estate agents. When you first get going, the obstacles in getting people to sign on and work with you.
Right.
For you, I have to imagine that was even a little more difficult as an 18-year-old getting into the business, getting people to say, all right, I trust you. Let's do it.
I mean, I still think sometimes at 22.
Well, of course.
When I'm like, wow. Every once in a while,
Yeah.
I'm 22 years old and they just trusted me with their biggest purchase they'll probably ever make.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the hardest part for me is when I first started, I didn't have the confidence in it yet. Once you nail down the confidence, I mean, now I don't get it hardly at all. You know, I mean, people will joke, how old are you? And I'm like, 12 and a half, every time. 12 and a half. Yeah. But at first when people used to ask me that, I'd freeze up, I think it's just all about your confidence and, you act like, if you know what you're talking about, they believe you, they trust you. And then now I'm at the point where I have the track record that, usually I imagine people when they're researching their agent, they're looking at past sales reviews, such like that. And, so I kind of have that to back me now. So,
yeah, you do. Now you have something to bring to the table.
But when I was 18,
when you first got going, you did.
Yeah, I made a fool out of myself plenty of times.
Yeah, we all have.
Yeah. Open houses were a big one. We kind of talked about that. When I first started, I tried my best to do 2 open houses a weekend. I embarrassed myself, but I learned, I learned what I needed to say and what was wrong and what was right.
And that's how you do learn. And so recurring theme for people who have listened to the podcast before, because very similar answer to what Adam Bugos gave a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's open houses. And that is something that, it's almost a dirty word for realtors who have been doing this for a while. Like, I don't want to do an open house. And you see all the time in company emails, anybody want to do an open house for me? We don't want to be bothered taking that time out of our day to go sit at a house for a couple of hours. But that is such a prime opportunity to meet people. And you don't, obviously, everybody who walks through the door, you're not turning into clients.
Right.
But if you get 1 out of 20, 1 out of 30,
it's
worth it.
Yeah. I mean, there's been open houses I've got 3 new clients from, in one day.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I gave 2 hours out of my time and in a day, and I got 3 clients.
Yeah.
And then, but there's also been times where I will sit there 2 hours, not one person will show up, but hey, I bring my computer always.
Yeah.
I at least get work done. So it's not even
You work at open houses?
Yeah. I bring my computer,
my gosh.
Got a personal your hotspot on your phone, turn it on and call,
So things are starting to click in my brain now, because I just watch NFL Red Zone.
No, if I'm there to work, I'm working, and then so I don't have to work Sunday night.
So maybe it's not the wife and the kids that are holding me back. Maybe it's the NFL.
Yeah, just open it up, catch up on emails. It makes your Monday way better.
Oh yeah. Mondays are the worst.
They're awful.
But no, I think that's a real thing. Like, realtors have to kind of seize every opportunity we can to meet new people, to talk to new people, and kind of cast a wide net. Because you said if one of those people ends up signing on with you, then it's all worth it. And I think so after COVID, and we'll get into that a little bit, because that's right when you got licensed, which is a crazy time to start doing anything. But then right after COVID, rates drop 2%. All of a sudden, we can't keep a listing on the market. You stick a sign in the ground, and by the time you get home to even put it in the system, you've got calls on it, and somebody's like, "I'm writing an offer right now," and it's like, "How? I don't even. You don't even know how much I'm asking. What do you mean?"
No, I mean, even coming soons are a big thing here, and those are selling sight unseen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could never imagine buying a house sight unseen.
No, I would never. That's insane.
No.
But what's changing now is we're getting a little more balance to the market, which is probably something now that you are wholly unfamiliar with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like pre-2020 real estate.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, if you got an offer within 30 days, that was a quick sale.
You're the best realtor in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if I've got a listing on the market for 3 days, my seller is saying, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Why have we not sold this?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. We kind of you get kind of clients that hear how great the market is, and then they want to price it 50,000 more than it's worth. And then they sit, and then it's your fault.
Yeah. It's, I always call it losing battles, right? So I'll be taking a buyer through a house and they'll say, don't you think this is overpriced by like a lot?
Yeah.
And I'll say, yeah, I do. And they'll say, why would that realtor price this house like this?
Yeah.
And I always have to say, whoa.
Yeah.
Sometimes we lose battles.
Right.
We go in and we say, we should be here. And the seller says, no, we should be here.
Right.
And, sometimes you just have to say, okay, we'll try it.
Yeah. And sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works. And then you're like,
wow,
what do I know?
What am I good for?
Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of times, believe it or not, we're right.
Right.
And it doesn't work. And it sits. And now we're getting to a place in the market to kind of bring this back around where open houses are becoming like a common occurrence again.
Yep.
And I had kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah.
And then I did one a couple of weeks ago. And, and I was like, oh, I got a client from it, new client, just met some new people. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I started thinking I should go back through my client list and see how many of these people became my clients through an open house.
Open house, yeah.
And I would imagine it's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. I started doing I had leads bought and I wasn't converting them. But I would go and meet people and I didn't know how to talk to them,
Yeah.
So it's like trial and error until you get it down. And once you get it, you've got it, because I can go and read the room and say, okay, these people don't really want me to talk to them. Just leave them alone. Let them walk through the house. Yeah. These people want me to talk to them about every little thing in the house, so you get to learn. It's more kind of reading people, I feel like, and feeling what they want.
That is 100% correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
And you're right. And some people come in and, they just give you that impression right off the bat. Like, I'm not trying to form a connection here.
Right. And
I
that's
just
fine.
want to see that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you get a call on a listing, it's like, hey, I want to see this house that you have listed. Every time that happens, I go, and then, when I come home, my wife will be like, how did it go? Yeah. And it's always, it's one of two things. It's either like, oh, it was great. We hit it off. We can tell our personalities kind of synced up. Yeah. I'm hilarious, and they laughed at all my funny jokes, so I know that they're cool. Yeah. Or my jokes fall flat, and they just look at me like I'm a crazy person, and then I just shut up and open doors and turn on lights,
and then run.
So the furnace is from 2016. That's So whatever.
Yep. My jokes are not classic at all. They're the same thing every time.
You got a routine, do you?
Every time.
You got to be careful with that, man.
Every time. It's just
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I mean, not all the exact same, but it's just the classic, I like the dad jokes.
Okay.
Love the dad jokes.
Yeah. I can't help it. They just occur naturally for me.
Well, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll sprinkle them in throughout the podcast.
Okay.
One thing we were talking about earlier that I kind of want you to expand on.
Okay.
Is you said like, okay, at your age, you're doing great. You're killing it for any age. And you say, well, you have friends your age who are like, ooh, I would like to maybe get into that too.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, could you expand on that a little bit?
I think you kind of talked about this because I listened to the last podcast.
Oh, with Wade?
No.
Or the one with Adam.
I listened to the one with Adam. I didn't see the one with Wade yet. Yeah. but you guys touched on it and I liked it a lot. I think the struggle that's going to be for my age group is the sociability, going out and talking to people. You guys touched on that a little bit and I liked that because it's not, I don't even know what I'm trying to explain here. Just that, I don't know.
Well, I think what I was kind of wondering about, and I think a lot of people think getting into it, that you get licensed.
Yep. And you get calls to show pretty houses.
Phone starts ringing.
Yeah.
The money starts flowing in.
Yep.
You make awesome Instagram things. I don't really do Instagram.
I don't either.
You TikTok.
Yep.
And it's just, you get new cars.
Yeah.
And
new cars.
Just,
You get your pretty headshots.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, and that's what it is.
No,
not at all. But I feel like that's kind of the perception. And I think for younger people, especially.
Yeah.
Because when we were growing up, and I talked to both the last two guys about, because we all grew up in like the 80s.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
I know, a long time
Thanks,
ago.
buddy. Yeah, but there were zero people back then growing up who were like,
my dream job is to be a realtor.
I want to be a realtor.
Yeah.
It's different now.
Yeah.
Young people, young people actually want to go down this route.
Yeah.
And I've wondered a little bit, like, okay, this job has become a lot more public. When I was growing up, there weren't TV shows following around real estate agents.
Okay.
In their fancy cars selling $1 million listings.
Yep.
There was no flip it shows, where over a 90-second commercial break, they knock out a wall and remodel a kitchen.
Right.
So it has really become glamorized, I think.
Yeah.
And kind of to a benefit and a detriment.
Yeah.
The benefit is it's bringing more attention to our industry and bringing more people into our industry with creative minds.
Yep.
And really like helping things grow. But the detriment is it's painting a picture of what this life is that is wholly inaccurate for 99% of us.
Yeah. I mean, social media is great at that though.
Yeah.
Making it all look great. I've watched Selling Sunset and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch.
It's great to watch. If I could be them, I would love to be them.
But nobody's really them.
No. I mean, they don't show I had a closing a couple days ago. My seller didn't grab all the stuff out of it. So then I'm, 30 minutes before closing, loading up my car, trying to get everything out of this house, so the new buyers are happy.
Yes.
Or they don't have to deal with the flooding houses, You have a house that's flooding and it's an hour before closing. What do we do?
Right.
Yeah.
That's something I've always said is like, they're not showing like a really tense back and forth on $130,000 house.
Yeah.
Because, the water heater needs replaced and it's an $1,100, they're not showing like, that's the reality of this job.
Right.
It's not like, oh, okay, look, this is $4.6 million. Yeah. It's like, all cash.
Has Springfield ever seen a $4.6 million house?
No. But that's what it is. And it's like, okay, all cash, 14-day escrow, that's not what this job is. But I don't think anybody thinks that around here we have those kind of listings, but they do think that it is it's different than it is.
Yeah. And then you see the commissions too, but they don't realize, I mean, after, I've gone to sellers and say, okay, we're charging you, this, and we're going to pay the buyer's agent this. I've got to pay this dollar is going to pay for our marketing, our, photos, everything. This dollar is going to pay for going straight to Uncle Sam. Mm-hmm. And then this dollar's left for me.
Yeah.
You have $3. You have $1 left now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that you're right. And a lot of people don't. And I remember I made a TikTok video a few months ago about, splits and how things go. And when, I use very specific examples. Like if you sell a house for $200,000, you've got this, a lot of agents are giving, they're on a 50-50 split for a while or whatever with their brokerage, and then taxes come out.
Yep.
And we're self-employed. So, I mean, our job is driving around all over. We're paying for that. We're paying for our advertising. And it's like what you actually get to keep afterwards.
Yep.
People don't understand that.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I'm always trying to, and that's why I named the podcast Real Estate for Real.
Yeah.
Because I want to teach people about the reality of
Instead
this job.
of glamorizing it like everybody else says. Yeah.
But I also don't want to be like, it
no,
sucks.
Yeah. No.
And I hate it.
I love my job.
Of course.
I love it. But it's not, the selling sunset. That's not the job.
No.
What
is your, what would you say? I'm going to spring this on you without any. Yeah.
Okay. Hit me.
The absolute favorite part of your job. If you had to pinpoint one thing, the best part, what do you love the absolute most about what it is that you do?
I love my first time buyers.
Yeah?
I love my first time buyers. They're always so excited and so emotional about everything.
Yes.
So when you give them those keys, that's the best feeling.
Dude, giving somebody the keys to their very first house.
Best thing. Best thing.
That's a great answer, man. That's a great answer.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's fun for all of them, but when someone's sold 3 or 4 houses now, they don't. Right. They have no emotional attachment, most likely, to it. It's just, it's done. Here's your new house. And,
see you at the next one. They just give you a little pat on the back.
We'll call you in 10 years,
Yeah.
When it's time. Yeah. But no, first time home buyers. I mean, I have met so many people that are friends now through the job, that I'd have no idea day one I met them that we would be friends like we are now. Yeah.
All right. So the adverse of that.
Okay.
It's the worst part about it. What's the part of the job that you're like, oh?
We talked about this at lunch a little bit, trying to balance.
Okay.
It's very hard for me to balance life and work. Because if someone texts me, hey, can we go look at this house in 30 minutes? It is so hard for me to say no.
Yeah.
Let's go, But then I'm like, oh, I had this to do. I have to do this. I have to clean house. I haven't made dinner, I've got to let the dog out. I've got to do, so... But that's also, I kind of love it for that reason too.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier.
So when I very first got started, and one of the first times I sat down and talked with Mike Busher, he kind of warned me about that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact words, but it was something along the lines of, you got to be careful with this.
Right.
Because he knew I was married. He knew I had young kids at that time, and now my kids are big, and they don't care how long I'm gone. They don't even know that I'm gone.
Yeah.
But he said, you have to be careful with this because it can take over, and it will consume. And early in my career, it was really, really hard. It was all day long. I'm locked in. I'm grinding. Yep. I'm trying to get clients. I'm trying to get things going. Anybody that wanted me, I bring the laptop to bed, and I'm sitting there while we're supposed to be watching. My wife and I are watching TV. That's our time. Yeah. And I've got my laptop open, and I'm looking through listings, and I'm trying to, and it's, I never shut it off.
Yeah.
And it's taken me, until, I don't know, recently, until just a few years ago, to really find that balance of, you got to be married to your life.
Right. Yeah.
And this is your job.
Yeah.
You can love your job.
Right.
But what good is your life
over
here if all you're doing is your job?
Right. Yeah. That's kind of, this first year was kind of like the first year I've had my life back a little bit.
Well, good.
Yeah. It was great summer. Great summer. Still worked, but just not 80 hours a week. Just, 60 instead.
Not bad, right? Yeah. What do you do with all the free time?
Yeah.
So what is something then, because I always tell the stories like I had no idea what I was getting into. When I got licensed, I opened the phone book. You know what a phone book is?
My grandma has
I opened the phone book and started calling real estate companies. I didn't know where to work. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know that we only got paid commission.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Someone just asked me that last week.
Yeah.
Just asked me.
It's not common knowledge.
Yeah. How much do you get paid per showing? I said, I don't.
Oh,
I don't.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I don't. That would be phenomenal.
Oh, man. Can you imagine an hourly wage just billing people?
I'll take $10 an hour, you know? Oh, yeah. Yeah, anything.
Yeah. But what, let me think here. What is something about the job that you had no idea going in? You know, can you think of anything? It's like going in, but you as a teenager, you were around real estate a little bit more, right?
Yep.
So you had a little more exposure to the inner workings of real estate. But still, when you're going through and you're getting your license,
I don't know. I guess the biggest thing for me, the first year, this was really hard. Once you start getting stuff and you get, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 transactions going at a time, the stress.
Yeah.
You don't sleep. No. You don't sleep. But now with it, it's gotten, much better. Mm-hmm. Now it's normal, But when I first started that, and then trying to figure out, you don't know everything yet. So then you're asking, and then it's hard to get a hold of people. Mm-hmm. And then the stress, definitely. Number one.
Yeah. And that's something they don't tell you about, right? Mm-hmm. And not only that, but when you're getting your license and you're doing the courses, like I didn't see, far from what I remember, it's been like 11 years now, but I didn't see a listing or purchase contract until I was already a licensed agent. Yeah. I didn't know what was on there.
Right.
I knew laws and stuff, and it's like, you don't learn really anything about this until you're out there in the middle of it doing it.
You're learning all over again. The day you get licensed, you're relearning.
Yeah.
Pretty much don't throw away everything you just learned, but you don't really need it anymore. Now you have to actually learn what it's like.
And so it's so important after you get licensed that you are in a place that provides good training.
Right. Yep.
And so were you able to get pretty good training right after you got licensed?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I joined a team briefly and the training there was great. Yeah. I learned a lot. So my stepmom is licensed. So I worked with her, probably since, I don't know, I met her when I was 13, 14 years old. So I'd always, we worked. That's all we did.
Yeah.
We worked. Nights off. After school, if I could go to a showing with her, I would. If weekends, summer break, I loved it. Summer break, that's all we did. Woke up, worked, got ice cream, went to bed.
I love ice cream. Favorite ice cream?
Gosh, you're throwing it. This is hard. I might go a little basic here.
Okay.
I like that scoop de jour.
I love scoop de jour.
The mint chocolate chip.
And Fair enough.
Maybe a little bit of cookie dough.
Yeah. You ever had the Pirate's Bounty there?
Oh, yeah, I have.
Oh, that's a game changer. My favorite, just all-out ice cream treat of any kind, brownie a la mode.
Okay.
Just a scoop of vanilla on top of a warm brownie.
Yeah.
With some chocolate on the top. Oh, let's go.
Now you're making me hungry. Yeah. You just had lunch.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to go get dessert after this. You know what, dude? Me and Adam were talking about cookies. That's my brain. I got a sweet tooth.
Yep.
Something bad, man. Something fierce.
It's bad.
So I guess we need to circle back around to real estate. Focus on business instead of gaining weight.
Yeah.
But yeah, that training part is so important for a newer agent.
Yeah, it's hard. But also when you're a new agent, there's just so much thrown at you. You can't retain all that information.
No.
So it's almost like you're going to have to learn it when you get in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
For me, at least, that's how I learned it. Because when I first started, people were talking about, and I never wanted to raise my hand and say, well, what does that word mean? I've never heard that word in my life.
Yeah.
So you've got to learn because this is people's biggest investment they'll ever make. So,
and if they're going to trust you with it.
Yeah. And I've made mistakes and I've paid out, a good amount of money doing that.
Yeah.
But, just to make it right, because it was my mistake and I'm not, gonna let.
You're like, well, sorry about that.
Yeah. I forgot to put the washer and dryer in the contract, so let me go buy you a new washer and dryer.
Ooh.
Yeah, that happened once, but I'll never do it again.
That's how you learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thankfully I haven't made that one, but I've forgot early in my career. One of the things that I forgot to do a bunch, by a bunch I mean maybe like 2 or 3 times, was send over the invoice to the title company for inspections. To come out at closing.
Yep.
And so we'd close, and then the inspection company would reach out and say, "Hey, Eric, we never got paid for that one. When are you guys closing on it?" And I'd be like, "Ugh." And I was not going to go back to my buyer and say, "Hey, I messed up and didn't send that invoice over. So you got like 500 you could throw at this, So I would just eat that. But I only did that 16 or 17 times, and then I learned.
You know what? I do not like the home warranties at all.
Ugh,
I don't love them. Every time I have notes to if I write a home warranty on, do not forget to get that invoice paid.
Oh,
you know how many home warranties I bought?
I haven't. Thankfully, I haven't worked with a home warranty in a while.
I try to not, but because I always forget them, and I don't love the home warranty idea anyway. So
no, I mean
it's a great idea. Just
I've had now, in fairness. And I think we potentially have a home warranty company who's like a partner, kind of a platinum partner deal with our company. I don't know if we do or we don't.
Okay.
So I don't want to trash them too much.
Okay.
Too much.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But I will say I have had over the years several clients be so glad that we got them one.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking new air conditioning, just brand new, total replacement for $100 service call.
Wow.
Which is great. I have also had clients have absolute nightmare scenarios dealing with these companies and going whole summers without AC because they just wouldn't replace it. They kept sending somebody to basically put a Band-Aid on and it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's more experiences. And I'm not saying one because I couldn't even tell you, who the ones I've dealt with are. But just that's kind of more what I've dealt with.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it's a great idea. Great idea. Just hasn't worked in my favor.
Well, now a home warranty, I view it, they're like an insurance company. I mean, it's the same basic concept.
Yeah.
They love to collect money.
Yep.
Don't like so much paying it out.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yes. I don't blame
Who wants to pay out money?
Right.
I would love to just collect money too and not pay any out. But like I said, I don't want to trash them too much because I have had a lot of clients have really, really good experiences and be really glad.
Yeah.
So, go get that home warranty.
Get that home warranty. I changed my mind.
Yep, there you go. It turned into a commercial for home warranties.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Is this where we say we're sponsored by?
We're not sponsored. We're not. We'll take a sponsor. Unless it's a realtor. I don't want another realtor sponsoring my
your podcast. Right? Yeah.
I guess technically.
I'll do it.
It's no. Do you spend a lot of money in do you do a lot of sponsorships or advertising or lead generation type things?
Yeah, Realtor.com is kind of our main thing. I do around Chatham as much as I can just because that's where I'm from. But that's about it.
Pretty good return on investment there. I mean, is it...
It depends on the time of the year with the Realtor.com stuff. Time of year, definitely. Now we're kind of not many people want to move going into winter, so the leads are dying down. But then there's times in spring where we're getting 15 new inquiries a day that I can't,
Right.
Yeah, thank God I have other people to help because there's no way.
That's something I've never taken that leap to be like, all right, I'm paying for lead generation.
Right.
And I know I've talked to some other agents that have told me it's, you put some money into it, sure.
Right.
But if you can get 4 or 5 clients out of it all year, it more than pays for itself.
Right. It just depends on there's so many different zip codes you can buy and how many you want a year. And I've kind of got mine spread all over because I was doing just one zip code, all the money in, but then I would have 3 or 4 different buyers for one house. And then I was writing 3 offers on one house for 3 different buyers. I just didn't like that. So I just switched them all up to different
And
areas.
then you got to attach that notice of contemporaneous.
Yep. Yep. I just didn't feel like I was doing the best service to them. So I kind of switched it up.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Spread it out a little
Yeah.
bit.
And I also got bored of showing the same, 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow 4 times. So it was nice to switch.
I could probably guess that zip code. Yeah. How much do you like? One of my favorite things, and I tell my clients this, when we walk into a house that is so different because as realtors, people don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, we get fake deja vu all the time because we'll walk into a house and it's a floor plan. We maybe have never been in that house before, but it's a floor plan that we've walked through 10 times at least. You can tell them
the laundry room's right here.
Yes.
Furnace is right here. Mm-hmm. Yep. Here's the crawl access right here.
All of it. Yeah. Right. And so
I know, like the Lake Town one. Have you seen that? The Lake Town, they're on that little neighborhood, like Lilac, and they're always on a slab. Living room, kitchen, 3 bedrooms. This one right here up front is always the smallest. I've probably been in 50 of those houses.
Yeah. I showed one last night out like Northgate.
Yep.
And it was, to a T, the exact same layout as one I showed over there like 2 months ago. It was exact.
Yeah.
Basement and everything. And it's fine. But when we go into a house that is unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
How much I enjoy that.
It gets you excited.
My clients are probably like, what is wrong with
this
you?
realtor nerd?
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Yeah. And I get so excited. Yeah. And they're like, it's a house, man. I'm like, no, you understand.
No, I haven't seen this one.
Yeah. I haven't seen this before. You know how crazy that is?
So now that I've hit like the 4-year mark, I'm starting to be in houses that I showed 2 years ago or 3 years ago. That is so weird.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, was I in this house? I feel like I was, but I can't remember. It's strange.
Just wait, man.
It's strange.
Just wait. Like when you can start putting like 10 years in between that, and then you're like, I was in this house a decade ago.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to match it up. Like, who did I walk through this house with? And I've got a pretty cool story. So I just closed yesterday. I had buyers for a house on Iron Bridge.
Okay.
And maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it was on the market.
Okay.
And I had some clients that I was taking through there because it's sitting on like 5 acres.
I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, we just closed yesterday.
Yep.
And the house was small. It was built in like 1920s. Really small house.
Yep.
The basement in there. It was nice, but it was really small, and it didn't have the room for this family. But they were really interested. They loved the land, and they brought over a builder to look at the potential to like add on and make some more space in there. Ultimately, it didn't work for them.
Yeah.
Somebody else bought the house.
Yep.
Did put an addition on right where my people were wanting to do it. And I think sold it to another couple at one point, and then that couple just put the house on the market, and I brought different buyers through.
Yeah.
Who bought it.
Yeah.
And so while I'm at the closing, I text those clients from like 6 years ago, the listing. And I said, hey, because they moved to Florida now.
Yeah.
So, hey, look at this house I'm closing on right now. And they were like, oh my God, how crazy is that? To be able to go through it, all those years ago, envision what an addition would look like and what it could be.
Right.
And then go back through after somebody had done the work and then sell it afterwards to different people.
Yeah.
It's just, it's cool how that stuff kind of.
It is cool. I like seeing the things people do after, 2 or so years, or when you see like the really bad ones, mold or hoarder, and then you see somebody flip it and you're like, there's no way that's the same house. There's no way.
What is, I'm trying to think, what is the worst thing you've ever seen in a house?
Oh gosh.
All right, let's change that. Have you signed a waiver to go into a house saying that you won't sue the owner?
That's usually when I try to talk to people out of
or the brokerage if you get sick or die from mold poisoning.
I don't think I have.
And so you have, because you're 4 years in, and foreclosures are just now coming back around.
Yeah. Yep. So I haven't had to deal with any of those hardly.
Right.
But now the foreclosures are being flipped before they're going on the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People are getting their hands on them.
Yeah.
They're greedy little hands on them early.
Yeah.
But so it's a thing, and I'm sure you'll come across it at some point where house will hit the market. Almost always a foreclosure.
Yep.
And you'll go to schedule a showing.
Yep.
And it'll say, hey, you have to complete this waiver first.
Yeah.
And that waiver says, if I get sick or die,
yep,
I won't, and my estate won't sue you.
Yeah.
Because I went into this house that has mold everywhere.
Yeah.
So you haven't experienced that yet.
That's usually when I say, hey, we need to sign a waiver to go in here. We probably shouldn't. That's usually when we don't. Well, I mean, I've had fleas. I've had two times now. I've had fleas.
Like you go show a house and you come out and you're like, oh, there's fleas on me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Those are fun.
I've had that too.
I had a hoarder house. He was an alcoholic hoarder, and it sold pre-market. It was out on the lake. I showed that. We couldn't really walk in the basement because there was dog feces everywhere. So we kind of had to hop around. We were seriously jumping over piles.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, and it's those times when you're like,
yeah, but it's so sad
like,
because
this is so not selling Sunset.
Yeah, it's so sad, but because that house was so cool. It could have been so cool. I mean, whoever had it, just really let it go in the past 10, 15 years.
That's something that I also didn't know coming in, is how like some of these houses can break your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you come in and you see how, how sometimes just how people really, and you feel sad for the families or whatever was going on there.
Yeah.
Or just the houses themselves, because you see the potential that they had, and like, oh, this was probably such a great house at some point.
Yeah.
And it just got, ugh.
I mean, that one, I know if it was remodeled, it would be a $800,000 house.
Yeah. Where's it at?
It was out on the lake. It was out on the
What's
lake.
the address? Just kidding.
No idea. This was probably 2-3 years ago now.
Do you have like the most bizarre thing you've ever come across?
Bizarre.
I'll start while you think. All right.
Okay.
I was thinking about this
earlier
today. So
I'm ready.
I had a listing.
Okay.
And the owner was the landlord.
Okay.
And he rented out the house to some college students.
Okay.
And so I go over there to get pictures. And there was, up on the fireplace mantle, a sex toy.
Okay.
Just right there.
Yeah. Perfect.
And perfect.
Yeah.
And it's like, we go as realtors, and I'm sure you hire a photographer to do all your pictures, as almost everybody does now. But when I started, a lot of us took our own pictures.
Yeah.
So you go through, and it was nothing for me to go and do like a semi-clean on a house that I was getting ready to take pictures of and move things around and get. I wasn't moving that. I wasn't touching it.
Yeah.
But there it was.
Yeah.
And it was towards the holiday season, so I found a Santa hat. And I put that on top to cover it up.
Where was this house at?
It was. I'll tell you off air.
Okay. I'm ready.
But then I had to call this guy, and it's one of these weird conversations, and that's another part that people don't know, is the uncomfortable conversations that we have to sometimes have with people.
Yeah.
Where I had to be like, hey man, so I need you to tell your tenants to maybe put that thing away.
Yeah.
Before people come look at the house.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're college kids and it's whatever, but like, do you understand? Like,
Yeah.
And this is after he told them, hey, my realtor's coming for pictures.
Yeah.
Clean up.
Yeah. Well, tenants don't like realtors. We're immediately the bad guy when we go out there to list their house.
So anyhow, I don't know. I might have spoiled any bizarre things that you've seen with my awesome story.
No, that was good.
Thank you.
I have, like, showing a house. I was showing it, walked in, I knocked, you always knock. I did walk in on somebody laying in bed, that's those are kind of awkward. That's happened a couple times now. Yep. But
well,
I can't think of anything.
See, those are the worst. I've done
so
that too.
Awkward.
And when we used to set up showings, it wasn't showing time.
Yeah.
So we'd have to, we'd have a list of houses. So we'd have to look, see what company had the listings.
Yeah.
And then call each of those offices and talk to whoever is working the front desk and say, I want to show this listing at this time. And then that person would have to call the owner.
Yeah.
And clear it and then call you back and let you know. So this is all done like pen and paper.
Yeah.
All sorts of actual talking, not even texting, talking.
Yeah.
And so signals would get crossed a lot.
Yeah.
And when you're coming in, and I walked into a house and it was one of those, how those houses is, sometimes you have a buyer and you're not just showing them, it's them and it's their parents and it's their kids and it's a party of like 8 or 9 everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you walk in and it's like scatter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we did that once. We walked in, it was scatter, and half of us went one way, half of us went toward the bedrooms.
Yeah.
The ones who went towards the bedrooms found a guy sleeping who worked nights.
Yeah.
And somehow clearance, we got approved, but nobody told this guy.
Yeah.
And he wasn't very happy that all of a sudden there were 8 people in his house and he was trying to sleep, just walking in.
Those are awkward.
Ugh.
Those are a little awkward. I can't think of any. Surely there's got to be a better story.
As soon as we quit recording, you'll think of something.
I know.
Yeah, that's all right. I put you on the spot, man. I didn't prepare you.
Oh, no. I want to think of. I'm sure something interesting's happened.
It's all right. So you've said you're 4 years in.
Yep. Just officially 4.
And so for me, that was about the time where the repeat clients started making like when I was like, oh, wait, you want to buy another house?
Right. This was my first year.
So that's happening for you now, right?
Yep. It's pretty awesome.
It is.
Pretty awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's how you know you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the best. I mean, that's just referrals are the best way to go.
Referrals and repeat.
Yep. If you just take care of them the first time, they'll call you again. Yeah.
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 They should.
Yeah.
So you got to take care of them. You got to do a good job.
Yep.
And then kind of follow up, check in with them. Don't fall out of their life.
Right.
And I don't mean just send them a magnetic calendar with your face on it.
Right. Yeah.
Actually reach out.
Right. That's why I love Facebook for that too. I love being able to just keep up with everybody's lives on that. It's perfect for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
We were talking about this over lunch a little bit about how with real estate, the hardest part about, getting clients, because that's the main quote. Well, how do I get clients?
Yeah.
Right. I'm licensed now. I'm here.
Right.
I've got to already pay my dues to be part of the association.
Right.
How do I get clients? And like the trickiest thing is, how to get people. And for me, it was Facebook.
Yeah.
Because when I started, that was the thing. But for you, like you said, it was open houses.
Yep. Open houses were big.
Yeah.
Those were a big one for me. I just never got scared of being told no. That's the worst. I think
huge.
People are so scared of being told no that they're fine. If you call 10 people and you get one of them to say yes, that's a good day.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a great day.
Yeah.
So if you had some advice, and like the main reason obviously I wanted to talk to you is because I'm super impressed with what you've been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
Knowing myself, I've always had great work ethic when it comes to actual work.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have done what you've been able to do this early in your career, and it's super cool, man. And I hope that
Thank you.
Every now and then you're like,
no,
I'm kind of I know.
I feel like I'm 22, but 18, but 40 somehow all at the same time. So, do
you ever get is there ever an imposter syndrome thing that kicks in?
100%. When I'm like, oh my gosh, what do you think the average age of a realtor that we work with is?
Oh, I mean,
I would say 40.
It's got to be 40.
Yeah, 40, 50. So it's I'm hanging out with people at work that I'm like, wow, that's
right.
That is but
you're you'll go walking through a $900,000 house. What am I doing?
Right. Here? Right. This is crazy. 4 years ago, I was in high school.
Yeah. So when you first got going, did you get any, and we're obviously not going to say any names, but like right. from any other agents in town that are like, a little more seasoned and experienced, did you ever like get the impression like they're not taking me seriously, or they're talking down to me, or they don't see me as an equal?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes at first, and that now is like my biggest pet peeve. We touched on that a little bit too. I just went to buy tile a couple days ago and they treated me like I was my age, and not, so I walked out, but there are plenty of people that did at first until they until I kind of, which I don't blame them. I kind of had to prove myself to them before they do. But then also I always said I would never be that realtor. Any new agent that needs that help, I'm going to be one of the agents that I want them to want to work with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because all that did was leave a bad taste in my mouth if that agent did that, you know? So.
And like, I was curious about that because, you are, you're certainly of the minority of the age range in real estate. And so I was curious if you ran into that a lot. And you and I didn't really have many interactions.
No, I don't know how
on, and we still, we still haven't really that much. Yeah. Today was the most we've ever talked by a long shot. But I saw when you got licensed.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing the numbers.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is incredible. And so then I wanted to talk to you and just kind of see, hear your story and how that went, because I think it's super cool. So if you had, like we said earlier, there are now young people who want to get into this industry.
Yep.
I didn't know I wanted to do this until I was like 30.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I think I would like that.
Yeah.
But now like teenagers want to get into this.
Yeah.
If you had some advice for somebody, and I'm sure you get asked this by people your own age that like, how do I go? If you had any advice to get into this, and it's not like, that's not just find something else to do.
No, not at all. Not at all. But I think people don't realize, it's not like we talked about, it's not selling Sunset. We're not $1
million listing.
No. So I guess, all I did was work, talk to people. Anywhere. We've talked about that too. Just anywhere.
Yeah.
But I've always been kind of a natural talker. So
it helps.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I always try to tell, it's hard because I feel like when I describe the job, that that it's a negative.
Right. And that's not what I love it.
Right.
But I think we also do that a little bit because everyone makes it sound like it's so easy.
Maybe so. I never really thought of it like that.
I feel like that's why, because everyone's like, oh, I would love to have your job.
Yeah,
and I'm like, really? I've been on the phone since 7:30 this morning, and it's 5:00. My phone's been charged 7 different times already today, and I've been showing houses while I'm on the phone,
Right. Yeah. I remember one day specifically, the first time my phone went off was at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And the last message I got was around midnight.
Yeah.
And there was not a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, is this real?
No.
Are you really? And
I've had to try to start setting hours for myself. I try to do the 8 to 8. It's hard. It's really hard. I try to give myself 12 hours a day, and then 8:00 at night, turn the phone off, turn it off till 8:00 in the morning. But it
can't.
No.
What if you get an offer at 8:45?
Right. You're still looking at it.
Yeah.
It's just, if it's not an emergency, I try not to respond till morning.
Yeah.
But you know how that works really well for our brains.
Yeah. No, and I like it when people say things, oh, you get to make your own schedule.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Well,
I mean, to an extent.
You do.
Yes.
But
but if a client tells you, hey, the only time I can see this is Tuesday at 10:00, what are you doing? You're going to be there Tuesday at 10:00.
There you go.
So
it's, and I love like when we get the clients, and some of them are so considerate, and so nice, and you wouldn't believe it. They'll, and it's usually when you first start working with them, and they'll be like, they'll send me over a house to be like, all right, let's go take a look. When are you free? And they'll be like, oh, hey, sorry, but I the only time I'm really free is at like 5:30.
Right.
And I wouldn't want you to work weekends. And I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
You're so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We're going weekends.
Yeah.
Yep.
And night times.
Yep.
Also, we're doing.
We're getting ready to get into the spot where you're going to have to start telling people, hey, go drive by and look at that roof on your lunch break. Because by the time we get there at night, you're not going to be able to see it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, it starts getting dark early, and that's a whole thing. But, the make your own hours and be your own boss. And it's like, there's that. But if you're somebody like us who can't shut it off,
right,
and it's a hard thing to do, then.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, it's. And you mentioned the stress part earlier that, nobody prepares you for.
No.
But to me, I've always said, anytime somebody tells me that, I didn't realize how much I would like carry this with me.
Right. I mean, you're thinking about everything.
Yeah.
When it's 2 a.m. and you're tossing back and forth because you can't sleep because you're thinking about, Mary, who might not get this house and she's going to be homeless in 2 weeks. And what are we going to do? You know? I mean, it really. Or
a seller that got hit with a repair addendum that's more money than they can, it's.
Yeah. And then you're out there, or those FHA ones that you got to go out and start painting because the buyer can't and the seller can't. And, it's tight on funds. So you're out there painting with whoever you can get to help you. Yeah.
And it's that kind of stuff. When I hear people say that, then I'm like, you are the exact type of person to be doing this job.
Right.
Because you need to. I mean, even though it's mentally and emotionally taxing on us to carry around, our clients' issues and problems. But if we didn't care about those, we wouldn't work so hard to make it right for them.
Right.
And more often than not, they see that, they acknowledge that, they appreciate that.
Yep.
And then they call you back and they tell people about you.
And that's, I mean, I love one of my favorite things too is like getting invited to the housewarming party.
Oh yeah.
Once they're done. So much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
And then what do they do when you walk through the door and they introduce you to everybody? Yeah. How do they introduce you?
There's my realtor,
Yeah.
but I'm like, no, I'm your friend now. I'm not just your realtor.
But it's always like, oh, yeah, this is Eric. This is Logan. He's our realtor. He did such a great job getting us this place. He's so awesome. Like,
it is. I mean, it's fun.
And you're like, here's a card. No big deal. Here's a card.
But also,
no big
when I'm
deal.
off the clock, I would rather not sit and talk about work the whole time. So I'm like, no, I'm your friend now.
Yeah.
We can have normal conversations that don't involve real estate.
So how does that go then?
Usually pretty fine. It's usually it's a little tough, but usually we can always find some sort of common ground on something. And
I feel like every social situation I'm ever in, anywhere ever, real estate comes up.
Oh, it for sure comes up.
And people are like, oh, you're a real estate agent?
Yeah.
How's the market?
Yeah.
And then, I've actually gotten, my realtor. Oh, and we're about at an hour, so we'll wrap it up. But how many times have you heard like, I listed my house with so and so? They only showed it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
It's like people don't understand.
Right. That's probably how it should be.
Yeah. Right. Listen, man, if I list your house,
right,
I'm probably not going to be the one to sell your house.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one to bring in a buyer.
Yeah.
More than likely. I might.
Yeah. I mean, I went on a listing appointment a month ago and she was older. I kind of explained, hey, not just agents at the real estate group will be showing it. Remax, Keller Williams, all the brokerages around will be able to show.
I'll edit those names out.
We're not supposed to
just
say
kidding,
that.
man. No, I'm just kidding. We can acknowledge that other companies exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, she was like, well, I don't want any, I just want you to sell it. And I'm like, well, that's not.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to get anywhere near what your house is worth. I don't have the buyer on the top of my head. If I did, I would bring them through. But, people just don't understand. But that's what we're here for. So, yeah.
And I always have to tell people too when they say, well, if you have somebody, if you have somebody, so you don't even have to list it. If you have somebody,
right?
And I always go, that would certainly be in my best interest,
right?
But not in yours,
right?
Your best interest is let's put these 500 plus agents,
right,
to work,
right,
and bring in their buyers and get you the highest dollar,
right? Yeah.
And when you put it like that, they're like, oh, okay.
I agree. I agree. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's times where I know pre-market benefits the seller more, if they care more about timing and you have somebody, I feel comfortable doing it then. But just doing that on every listing, there's some, that will do it on every listing, and it's like you're a seller, you don't know how much money you just lost.
Right now in this market, man, I feel like if my seller insists, then fine, I'm working for you.
Right.
But in this market, if a house doesn't hit the open market, it's an immediate disservice to the seller.
Right. And I mean, even I've had some sellers will just say, hey, well, if we do it pre-market, can we just give them a pre-market price versus our list price? And, so it offsets. And I'm like, sure, I kind of love that idea. You don't have to have 30 showings to your house. You can kind of,
like I said, if it's what they certainly want, but I always make sure that they understand.
Right.
Like, I've seen houses in this market get bid up 30, 40, 50, 60 grand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I just saw one listed at 360. It just closed for 415.
There you go.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, and that's,
you would never know.
That's a real thing. And if you're like, all right, at 360, but you got somebody wanting to give you 375 right now off market, you could still be costing yourself tens of thousands of dollars.
You never know.
Yeah. It's
best thing to do is put it on the market.
Always.
Yep.
Logan, I appreciate you hanging out with me, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Was it that bad?
No, it wasn't that bad.
Wasn't that bad, was it?
It wasn't that bad. I had to get used to my voice going back into my ear.
You hear that, Josh Cruz? It isn't that bad.
Josh's turn next.
All right, buddy. Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Lunch was good.
Yeah. Good time.
Yeah.
Good time.
Good getting to know you a little bit better. Hopefully we can do a deal together.
Yeah.
Have we done a deal together?
No, I wrote an offer on one of your listings.
Yeah, you didn't get it though.
Jerk. I tried. I pulled out everything.
Not everything.
I tried.
Yeah. Tried. You came in second. I know the exact one you're talking about. Did I tell you what got that one?
Still mad.
I know. She came through my open house and told me about it already. Yeah.
Did she? Yeah.
Yeah. Her brother's a client of mine.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Logan. Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Nice. Thank you.